At my wedding, my golden child sister tried to steal the spotlight by announcing her pregnancy with a cake, so I exposed her cheating and ruined her marriage instead. So, 3 days back, I, 28, female, got married to my boyfriend of 5 years. Jason, 28, male. My bratty youngest sister, Allison, 26, was also attending, and she had planned on stealing my thunder. But unfortunately for her, I was 2 steps ahead of her the entire time. About a week ago, the baker who was responsible for our wedding cake told me that my sister had contacted her and said that she wanted her to bring in another cake for the day of the wedding, and said that she wanted it to be a pregnancy announcement cake. Allison had told her that apparently I was the one who had asked for this, but had told her to contact the baker. She had even offered to pay twice the amount that I was paying her for the cake to bring it in, and keep this a secret from me, because apparently my sister wanted to surprise me. Thankfully, she knew better than to trust someone else, and this was someone with ethics and morals, so she decided to speak to me about it first. As soon as she told me all of this, I put two and two together, and I figured that Allison was probably going to pull some stupid attention-seeking stunt at my wedding, and I was right about it as well. So, I decided to stay ahead of her. I could have easily uninvited her, but I was really annoyed that she was trying to screw up the one day that was supposed to be about me. It seemed like she just couldn't tolerate my happiness, and it really made me very upset because even though I did not like her either, I would never do idiotic things like this for attention. Anyway, I decided to get back at her, and that's what has literally divided the family right now. My parents are really pissed at me for what I did. Allow me to explain what happened. So, on the day of the wedding, everything went smoothly during the ceremony, and it was after that that the cake was supposed to be cut. But as soon as Jason and I were about to cut our cake, Allison said that she had an announcement to make and had our baker bring in another cake. Everyone else was shocked apart from Jason and me because I had already told him that this was going to happen, and I had planned ahead for it. Her cake was a pregnancy announcement. It had congratulations on the new baby written on it, and icing, and as soon as people saw that, they started going berserk and trying to congratulate her and her husband. My parents were the worst. They literally started sobbing and completely forgot about me. At least some of my relatives had the good sense to stand by my side and not gather around her, because after all, it was my wedding. And this was extremely inappropriate. After everyone was done congratulating her, she had the most smug look on her face when she said we should probably get back to our wedding. I decided to call out the one person that I knew could screw all of this up for her. To be honest, I didn't even care that this was happening at my wedding. It just made things more memorable for everyone, especially my sister. So, after she said that we should probably get back to our wedding, I smiled at her and told her that I was really happy for her, and that was a bit surprising for her. But then I also faked confusion and asked her to hold up because someone important was missing and the celebration was incomplete without that special someone. That was the cue for my special guest to walk into the room, just like we had planned. I know you guys have been waiting to find out who exactly this person is, so it just so happened to be Allison's ex-boyfriend, whom she dated right before her husband. Her husband, Eric, 28, male, and she used to work together when they started dating. Before that, Allison had been with Jared, 26, male, her ex-boyfriend from college. They had been living together, but had been having a lot of relationship problems because Jared was ready to get married and Allison was not. From what I know, there was definitely an overlap because my mother told me that Allison started dating Eric 3 years ago, and they have been married for 1 year now. But I have a couple of mutual friends with Jared, and they told me that he and Allison had not even broken up until almost 2.5 years back. I had calculated the timings of the two relationships last year at their wedding, and I had come to the conclusion that there was no way that there hadn't been any overlap. She had been two-timing Jared and Eric for at least 6 months. Even Jared knew about it, and he must have figured it out by the time that she got married. But he had the good sense not to speak about it. And he was too kind to ruin her relationship with Eric on purpose back then. I also did not speak about it for the past 1 year, or even before that, since I didn't think that it was worth it. So nobody realized that Allison had kind of been cheating on Eric in the beginning of their relationship. However, I didn't think there was any need for me to hide this from people anymore, since she was going out of her way to create drama and seek attention even on the day of my wedding. This is why, after the baker had contacted me to tell me about what Allison was planning, I let her go ahead with her plan and decided to contact Jared behind her back because I thought it was time that Eric found out the truth. There were also a couple of other reasons for me to go through with this thing which I didn't even know about until I spoke to Jared. When I called him last week, I was skeptical about whether he would want to be part of this or not, because this was just drama between Allison and me. He really didn't need to get involved, but as soon as I told him that Allison was pregnant and was planning on announcing it at my wedding, he seemed to be really shocked because apparently she had kept in touch with him all these years. It wasn't like she had expressed her love for him or anything, but every couple of weeks she would ask him how he was doing and what he was up to. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have broken up with your ex and are married to somebody else, there's no need for you to keep in touch with your ex, especially when you didn't even break up with that guy until you were sure about the other one. So she seemed to be doing very nicely, and Jared thought that she was kind of leading him on. He also noticed that for the past couple of weeks she had not contacted him, and it was probably because of the pregnancy. He felt betrayed because she had made him feel like she still cared about him, even though she was married to someone else, and had given him hope. So when I told him my plan, it took a bit of convincing, but he eventually agreed to come by. When he walked into the room on the day of my wedding, Allison's smile was wiped right off her face. Everyone else who knew Jared also stopped smiling, and everything got really tense and awkward. Jared did not wait around for long and did not even beat around the bush. He walked right up to Allison and congratulated her on the pregnancy, and then he told Eric that it was quite sweet of him to allow her to still keep in touch with him, even though they had broken up ages ago and she had even been two-timing the two of them. Obviously, Eric had no idea about any of this, so he was very taken aback, and he didn't even know what to say. Once that was done, Jared thanked me and Jason for inviting him, and then walked back out. After that, there were a few minutes of silence, and then complete chaos. Eric started yelling at Allison about what he had just found out, and then the two of them stormed out. Then my parents started screaming at me for pulling off something as underhanded and insane as this, just to get back at my sister for something so petty and small. But I wasn't interested in that, so I told them that if they didn't like what I had done, then they could leave as well. And they did, along with a couple of other guests who did not seem to approve of what I had done. The people who remained were a handful of relatives and most of my friends. Thankfully, not a lot of people had left, and we were still able to carry on with the wedding as planned. It was only that my parents were not attending anymore, and honestly, at the time, I was fine with it. After all of that was done, nobody brought up Allison anymore before leaving. They just congratulated me on the wedding and left. When we came back home after that, Jason and I were pretty sure that we had done the right thing, and truth be told, we still are. However, the day after our wedding, my parents gave me an ultimatum while visiting. They came by in the morning, and I was pretty surprised to see them, because the last time that we had seen each other, I had told them that they were free not to attend my wedding, and they had left. But after that, they barged into my house and told me that because of me, my sister's marriage was in trouble. Apparently, Eric, like any other sane human being, was very upset with Allison because she had kept in touch with Jared in spite of being married to him for almost a year now. He was also very upset about the fact that there had been an overlap, because that meant that she had technically been cheating on him in the beginning of the relationship, and he had never even known about it. He felt like a fool, and I couldn't blame him for that. Allison had played him for a fool, and all I had done was expose her. I don't think I have done anything wrong. If anyone had ruined their marriage, it was Allison herself. I don't understand why my parents were blaming me for it, and I started fighting with them because I thought it was very unfair. But they told me that they were not here to argue with me. They were just here to tell me that if I did not apologize to Allison and Eric and tell them that everything Jared had said was something that I had put him up to as a prank, then they would never speak to me. I thought it was a really stupid idea because even if I said that it was all a prank, I don't think Eric is blind, and I'm pretty sure that he would be able to figure out that we were just trying to cover up for what had happened. More importantly, I really didn't want to do any of that. This was not a prank that had backfired. This was the truth, and I think it was important for it to come out eventually. I told my parents that I was not apologizing for anything, and if they didn't like that, they could go take a hike. They started screaming in my face, calling me selfish and petty, because what Allison had done was nothing in comparison to what I had done. They said that I had gone completely overboard, and I had lost my mind because this reflected badly, not just on Allison, but on the entire family, and I didn't even seem to care about that. Eventually, they left. We blocked each other, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about what they said. Maybe I did go kind of overboard, but it was Allison who started it, and her initial intention had been to make my wedding about her, and I had given her exactly what she wanted. So I still don't understand how I'm the villain here. Anyway, Aida for ruining my sister's marriage? Update 1. Hey everyone. First of all, thank you so much for all the replies. It means a lot to me and my husband that so many people are on our side. I will also answer a couple of questions that people had for us. So, a lot of people wanted to know how exactly I had a lot of mutual friends with Jared. Basically, Jared and Jason went to the same high school, but since he was a junior, he was not friends with Jason himself. He just so happened to be a part of the football team, and a lot of Jason's friends were on the team. Which is how? They knew Jared. I'm friends with a lot of Jason's friends who were friends with Jared, and that's how I knew about their relationship and the overlap and everything. However, Jared and I were never particularly close, and this is the only time that we've spoken to each other much, while planning out this entire thing. So, unfortunately, I don't have an answer as to why exactly Jared had not cut her out of his life after their breakup, even after he had figured out that she had been cheating on him with Eric. We are not close enough to have had discussions like that, and I think that's very personal. I know that he is still in love with her, and I feel bad for him, but I'm not a shrink. I'm not going to get into it if I don't need to. I had a plan, he agreed to it, and that was all that we needed to talk about. Beyond this, I don't know anything about his feelings for Allison or why he did what he did. As for Allison, of course, I wouldn't know what was going on in her head when she was trying to keep in touch with Jared, even after she had broken up with him and was in a committed relationship with Eric. So, unfortunately, I have no answers for that either. Anyway, it has been a week since my wedding, and now I'm really over this entire thing. I don't really care if Eric and Allison get divorced or if they choose to stay together. It just doesn't matter to me. It matters to my parents a lot, and I get that. We have already blocked each other, so we are not going to speak to each other anymore. I felt kind of bad about it, but I should have guessed that this is what it would come to eventually, because I had always known that my sister is pretty much the golden child for them. It's sad, but it is what it is. I can't help it. Throughout my childhood, I have tried a lot to win my parents over, but my sister was the younger one, so she was just special to them. I won't lie, I used to be very jealous of her, but as we grew up, the jealousy turned into resentment, and I just started avoiding her. The only reason she was even invited to my wedding was because my parents insisted, and because she had invited me to hers. And as for what I had said about her being an attention seeker, that part is true. She really can't stand getting attention from everyone and always wants to make everything about herself. That was part of the reason that I had started avoiding her initially, and now, obviously, we are going to remain no contact with each other. I have not heard from anybody from the family yet, apart from the people that I know are on my side. Everyone else has either blocked me or doesn't want anything to do with me, and I'm fine with that. If me taking a stand for myself pisses people off so much, they should probably not be in my life. I have also not kept in touch with Jared. I just thanked him through a text after everything was done on the day of my wedding, and he replied to it, saying that he was happy that he got the closure he needed. So, I don't know if Allison has reached out to him yet or not either. If she does, I'm pretty sure that he will tell me about it, but for now, everything is pretty suspiciously silent. In a way, though, it's good for me and Jason, because we are getting to enjoy our life as newlyweds, and within a couple of days, we will be leaving for our honeymoon. I just hope and pray that whatever drama my parents or Allison have to cause, they do it before our honeymoon, because once we are gone, I won't be entertaining this nonsense anymore. In fact, even if they try to reach out to me before that, I know what to do. I'm just going to put them in their place and end this once and for all because I think all of them have shown me exactly where I stand with them, and it's time I do the same for them as well. Update 2. I was right about Jared. He did reach out to me as soon as Allison texted him. It was only yesterday that I posted an update here, and a couple of hours after that, Jared texted me and told me that Allison had called him up and asked him to meet her. Apparently, she wanted to speak to him in person, and so he had gone to meet her in a cafe. But he got the shock of his life when he realized that both Allison and Eric were there. It was kind of an ambush, and as soon as he got there, he was about to leave. But Eric stopped him in his way and started screaming at him, telling him to stay away, as if it was Jared's fault. Jared brought up that point and said that he had no problem staying away from Allison. He had in fact actually wanted that for himself after their breakup, because he needed time to heal and move on from her. But it was she who kept trying to come back into his life and kept in touch with him. So if Eric wanted somebody to scream at, he should probably scream at Allison instead of blaming him. Eric refused to believe any of that and said that Allison had told him that it was Jared who kept reaching out to her, and she would just respond to him to be polite. But Jared was prepared with the receipts, so he just whipped out his phone and showed Eric the screenshots that he had of his conversations with Allison. And of course, all of them just proved that she was the one who kept reaching out to him. After that, Eric had nothing to say, so Jared took the opportunity to leave. And I'm pretty sure that after this, there is no way out of this for the two of them apart from getting a divorce. When Jared told me about all of this, he explained to me that he had gone to meet Allison this one final time because he actually did love her, but because of what she had done, he was never speaking to her again. And I think it's good for him. He needs to move on because Allison is simply not worth it. I also think that Eric needs to leave her as well because she's definitely messed up in the head. I can't imagine doing stuff like this to not one, but two guys, one of whom you are about to have a baby with. It's just disgusting, and I'm sure that my parents will find a way to justify this as well and try to blame me for all of this. They haven't contacted me yet, but after what just happened, I'm pretty sure that they will, and I'm really just waiting for that because I have a lot of things to say to them as well. Update 3. So today, 3 days after my last update, my family finally came to visit me. I had told you guys that my parents had blocked me, and so had Allison. So instead of unblocking me and contacting me through texts or calls, they decided to pay me a visit so they could piss me off in person. Nevertheless, I still invited them so we could have a talk and end this weird and strange relationship that we had. My parents started off by telling me that throughout my life, they had treated both of us equally, but I had always been jealous of my sister for no real reason. I mean, they had it completely backwards. They had never treated me equally, but I didn't end up angry. I just let them speak, because I wanted to see where they were going with it. Then they told me that on the day of my wedding, my sister had just wanted to share my happiness, and that is why she had thought about announcing her pregnancy on the same day, because she genuinely thought that I would be happy for her. But it was clear that I had known about her plan from the beginning, and I was not on board with it, which is why I had organized that little situation with Jared. It was more than obvious that I wanted to embarrass and humiliate Allison, and my parents really couldn't figure out why, because obviously they didn't think that Allison had done anything wrong. They even told me that if I really didn't agree with what Allison was planning on doing, then I should have spoken to her after I found out about her plans to announce the pregnancy from the baker, and confronted her about it, and prevented the situation, instead of trying to get revenge on her for something so petty and insignificant. Then they finally told me that because of what I had done, inviting Jared to the wedding, which led to a confrontation between the two of them, Eric was now filing for divorce. Allison had apparently tried really hard to fight for her marriage, but Eric had made up his mind, and this couldn't be coming at a worse time because she was pregnant, and now she had no idea what to do. So they had come to me and were demanding that I not only apologize to Allison, but also cover all the expenses of the divorce proceedings and her medical expenses for the next couple of months, and even after that, if the need arises. Naturally, the entire idea of that was so absurd that I burst out laughing because I couldn't believe that my parents thought I was actually going to go through with that. They seemed shocked by the fact that I was laughing, and Allison told me that she was serious. She said that she had the money to cover all of this on her own, but because of what I had done, this should be a fitting punishment for me since I had been the one responsible for ruining a happy marriage. So I stopped laughing and told her that I had not ruined anyone's perfect marriage, because if her marriage had actually been perfect, she would not have been reaching out to her ex every now and then. Even if it was just to check up on him, she wouldn't even have cared about him and wouldn't have had any ties with him. So if she really wanted somebody to blame, she should probably look in the mirror instead of trying to pin this on me. Then I told her that I will not be paying for anything at all, because if we were really talking about things that have been ruined, she had ruined my wedding, or at least attempted to do that. And if I hadn't found out about it earlier, I would have been completely blindsided, and the entire wedding would have been about her pregnancy. She was just mad that I had outsmarted her and exposed all her lies to her husband. My parents tried to come to her defense, but I told them that throughout my life, they only thought that they had treated us equally. But everyone who knew us knew the truth. They had always been biased towards Allison, and even now they were encouraging her to be entitled and bratty, even though she had literally ruined her own marriage. If I'm being honest, my parents were partly responsible for her downfall, because if they hadn't spoiled her rotten since she was a child, she might have turned out to be a better person. My parents started fighting with me after that, but I told them that I was not interested in dragging this argument out any further. We had wasted enough time during that discussion itself, and now that they had said what they had to say, I had said what I wanted to, and there was nothing more that we had to talk about. They still kept trying to talk to me, but I just was not interested, so I told Jason to deal with them and went back into my room so I could get some rest, because it was exhausting talking to my family. Jason had stayed away from this discussion because he's a bit short-tempered, and I'm pretty sure that my family and their audacity would have triggered him a lot sooner, and he would have snapped. So it was better for him to stay out of this for his own sake, because I didn't want him getting worked up over something like this. Anyway, after a while, Jason was able to get them to leave by threatening them with the cops, and then it was just the two of us. I'm glad that we were able to get this over with before the honeymoon, because now we can fully enjoy it without constantly worrying about what my parents and Allison are getting up to. Update 4. Hey! So Jason and I left for our honeymoon 3 days ago, and we are really happy right now. After my parents and Allison left that day, they left no stone unturned to try and get me to feel bad for them, specifically Allison. They got a lot of relatives who were on their side to text me and tell me that what I was doing was incredibly messed up and that I had no right to screw up somebody's life like this, especially when they were about to have a baby. I honestly don't understand why all of them are blaming me, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm just a messenger. So I spoke to Jared about it, and the two of us decided that it was about time that everyone found out the truth. So he just posted the screenshot of his chats with Allison, and that was all that was needed since it just proved that she was the one who had wanted to keep in touch with him. After he made that post, people started getting even more mad at me, especially Allison and my parents. They thought that I was going out of my way to ruin her reputation and claimed that this was character assassination at its finest. They even threatened to file a lawsuit for defamation against me and Jared. But I really don't think that that is going to work, because this is the truth. And it's not like we are spreading lies about them. More importantly, if they file a defamation lawsuit against me, I'll just sue them for harassment. It's tit for tat here, right? And anyway, I think Allison should worry more about the upcoming divorce proceedings and the custody battle, because if I was in her place, I would not be wasting my time trying to pick fights with other people. Thankfully, the people in my family, who had been on my side all along, have told me that they are not going to be keeping in touch with my parents or Allison anymore, because it's very obvious that they are the problem here. They have been nothing but horrible to me all along, and I'm glad that people are finally getting to see what kind of people they really are. Initially, I had been feeling kind of bad, because the family had been divided because of what I had done, but now I think that this is necessary. Anyway, right now, Jason and I are just going to focus on enjoying our honeymoon, because this time is never going to come back to us. And unlike my parents and Allison, we have no intention of letting them spoil our lives. So we are going to make the most of the time that we have here. They won't be able to bother us if we don't let them.